Uh,
All right, we are live. Okay, it's
are we?
I'm Steve Chin, as everyone who's watching this should probably know, and with me I have Alan, Mr.
Hey,
Alan
how
Wan.
you guys doing?
It is August 26th, 2015, and we are recording live our first episode of Jersey Hobby Hour,
Mm-hmm.
which the name might change, as I'll describe a little bit here in a second. What we plan
Mm-hmm.
to do with this is I don't plan on getting internet famous, but ultimately I hope on having more of our friends join us on this Google Hangout and hopefully have more of these videos pop up as time progresses. But essentially, this is going to be a 3-month long project where we do this weekly on Wednesday nights, probably at 8 p.m. And we're going to have a list of items that we're going to talk about that we pull from like local news, world news, gaming news, or entertainment, board games, or just any kind of random banter that we're pretty much
We're
interested in.
interested in talking.
Yeah, essentially, this is just a conversation that me and Alan and anyone else that decides to kind of join the hangout that is going to have. And we just want to record it for posterity. This way, other friends can watch it, and maybe they want to join in on the show and join in on the conversation.
Yep.
So, in general, the format's going to be mostly going to focus on gaming and entertainment news. But of course, we're going to broach interesting subjects that we just want to talk about, like politics or even religion or something crazy like that. If you would
Let's
consider
not
that,
go crazy about that, buddy.
if you consider that, like
You want us to get canceled on the first show? Let's calm down there.
but I'm primarily going to be the host. Alan will be the co-host, and we'll try
Yep.
and have a guest on probably every other week, if not more. Hopefully, if people start watching this, enjoy talking to us, enjoy talking about the things that we like to talk about, and maybe bring some topics of their own. We're going to be talking about some gaming stuff today, and maybe little heavy topics, but I think this should be a good show. Quick reasons why we came up with doing this, because on a whim, these guys are just going to start recording stupid stuff.
We're just a bunch of idiots. We just like to. We are a bunch of idiots.
I think ultimately the reason why we decided to start doing this was we wanted to set aside time for us to hang out, and not to actually have to like go out and have a beer or have dinner together. And it will allow us to connect with friends who don't have a lot of time to go out and hang out. It's just an hour. It's just once a week, and it doesn't have to be all of our friends. We could bring in one person that we'd hardly see. But I think it's going to be really, really, really good to just connect with everyone, and I think that's the real reason why we're doing this. As far as the inspirations and the sources, to be completely honest, we got a lot of our inspiration from watching Tabletop from Geek and Sundry. And I think Alan can probably agree with me on that.
You infected me. That's why. We all. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you always had a board gaming group. You guys played, Settlers of Catan and stuff like that. That I didn't always participate in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we all started playing like Settlers of Catan. I think back then it used to be really into Monopoly, really, really bad, where we would grab people randomly and be like, hey, you want to play Monopoly? It's like o'clock at night. You want to play? And then we find people to play.
Yeah, I played a lot of strategy war games, tabletop, during middle school. I mean, we're talking probably, 15 years ago at this point?
Axis and Allies. Attack.
Yeah. Started with Axis and Allies.
Lost friendships in that.
Spent way too many hours playing Axis and Allies in my father's dining room for hours on end.
We never finished. We never finished some of the games too.
We never finished most of the games. What are you talking about?
You're right.
And that really came from us playing stuff together like StarCraft on the PC.
Definitely.
That's the real reason why we got together and decided, board games. Even though you weren't really part of that board game group, even though you played a lot of the StarCraft and other like Counter-Strike and all that stupid stuff together with us.
No, of course. I mean, as we've gotten older, we've definitely hung out more. And that's how life is. I mean, I met you through StarCraft, for God's sakes.
Yeah,
Middle
to
school.
be honest, like I think the reason
like,
why you and I met was because you were the other
because of
Chinese
StarCraft.
guy. But you were just
it's
like the other Chinese guy.
I was like, hey, are you Steve Chen?
There was a third guy in middle school who was Chinese. You remember what his name was?
Fuck, I don't remember. It's not Kevin Choi. No, we're talking about middle school, high school. I don't remember. I thought we were the only two Chinese people, to be honest with you.
I could have sworn there was a third person in middle school.
My brother?
No, he wasn't.
No. I know, but he was in middle school, though.
Okay, well. So I mean,
off topic.
I mean, that's the real reason
why
we've kind of brought this together. It's just so we can have stupid conversations like this about where we come from, where we're going, and cool stuff around the internet, games, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that kind of covers what we plan on covering in our structure and why we're doing this. How about we get into the first topic that I have posted in the show notes, which should be in the video comments for this event. I did copy them there. If not, they'll be in the comments for the video on YouTube shortly thereafter. The title of the article is "Video Game Will Banish Bad Players to Prison Server." And this is an article on CNNMoney from August 21st. Basically, they kind of talk about how an EverQuest server has been created just to move hackers and cheaters and people who are monopolizing the systems in order to get ahead in the game. And they just put them on a separate server together. And it's kind of interesting just because, playing video games online, we always have to deal with people who are surreptitiously getting ahead in the game by some bad means. Hackers, whatnot. I mean, this stems all the way back to things like Punkbuster years ago. And even I think GameSpy Arcade had their own like anti-cheat service like built into it, but eventually like integrated with like Punkbuster or something like that. But it's kind of interesting that they decided to still keep those players like on their game servers at all. The fact that they're devoting resources to them is interesting. I guess because EverQuest is like a pay to play service. I don't know actually. I haven't actually taken a look at EverQuest, and I've never actually played it myself. I know there's like reiterations of it too.
I believe it's a play to play. It used to be, I believe, from back in the day.
I mean, most MMOs these days, other than like WoW, they go free to play just because they just don't have the player base anymore, right?
They're freemium games, basically. You have to it's like LoL, where anything you want premium, you basically need to pay for it.
I mean, that's kind of what happened to the Star Wars MMO, the Old Republic, pretty quickly too, even though it's like really popular.
Definitely.
This happens all the time. I play Counter-Strike Go occasionally these days, and people always call it a hacker. I think he's a hacker, and there's you don't know, but it just seems
no way to find out.
It just seems interesting to me that the developers and people who organize and run the companies who have the servers that run the games are willing to devote resources to people who cheat at the game. It'd be like if there's a steroids league for baseball or football or something like that.
I agree. The thing is that these people buy the game, obviously, and they have the right to do whatever they want with it. They can buy the game and throw it out the window or whatever. And if they choose to cheat, that's fine. But I give props to the creators of EverQuest for like, all right, we have these scumbags on here. We're going to put them on a separate server. You guys can be scumbags, but be it somewhere else. Stay away from the people that are actually trying to play the game fairly and properly. So I give kudos to them for that. I mean, devoting resources on a game like EverQuest. I mean, to be honest, I don't know how popular EverQuest is, to be honest. So maybe even them setting aside some resources just to do that, it's I'll give kudos to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, especially a game like EverQuest, which has been around for a long time. I'm not sure if devoting those resources ultimately gains the community at large anything. I mean, really, those players who get segregated off into like a cheater server, are they going to continue playing? I mean,
It could set a standard, though. I mean, they could be they could start a standard where, hey, if something in WoW I mean, there's always ways for people to cheat in games. So this might set a standard where, hey, you want to cheat, you're going to do it in this prisoner server where you're not going to impact anybody else.
Well, I feel like that might be accomplished just by having a separate server where you are just allowed to cheat and you can go back and forth as long as you don't cheat on the live servers. Do
you trust them, though? Do you trust people to do that?
No,
realistically,
I don't.
Not going to trust people to do that.
I mean, I'm just saying it as like an ideal situation. Like that, there have been plenty of times in the years of playing Counter-Strike back in the days where like you could run mods and all stupid sorts of stuff on Half-Life, before Steam existed on the WON network or whatever it is. Like, go into a server and modify the server variables so that you can get a monster gun or something like that, or something that has unlimited ammo. Like, everyone's always wanted to do that. And I'm not one that
want to do that.
Go online and cheat and just spend 2 days blasting through unlimited ammo on people who don't have it. Like, why bother cheating for that long of a period of time? Most people just want to experiment with it, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Most people who are gonna like go online and like find hacks or something like that, they don't go out of their way every time to just go and hack every game just to have fun that way.
I know.
I mean, I'm sure there are people that like that.
People want that edge, though. Like, I'm sure, like, tell me if you're going to play Grand Theft Auto 5, or Grand Theft Auto 4, you're not going to put a cheat code that gives you unlimited ammo or unlimited guns. You're going to want that edge.
But
that's just how it is when you play games.
Like, yeah,
you want to be better than anybody else.
It just seems kind of weird in a
it's easier
environment like a video game, like that seems rewarding at all.
That's why think about it. We have trolls all over the internet, so people find their kicks in different ways. People
I kind of wish that I had like a photo of a troll from like Warcraft or something to just like bring up at the window. Trolls.
Troll.
We need some live production quality. This way we can do that. That'd be pretty awesome.
We'll find one of our friends.
Oh, so
we know somebody that could.
So to anyone who might be viewing, I just want to say that the quality of these things will probably increase as long as we decide to keep doing them.
This is bare ass right now.
But right now, this is like really bare bones. We're just trying to scrape by using Google Hangouts.
Let me feel fine talking in front of you guys first. Let's take my time.
All three viewers. We lost a viewer.
Yeah. Yeah. I would lose. I would turn myself off too. But I think we should move on to the next one.
Sure. Well, I guess let's go back to the schedule. Let's talk about Metal Gear 5.
All right. We're going to Metal Gear. All right. Are we talking about Phantom Pain, I believe?
Yes. And sort of the Metal Gear universe at large, too. Because I'm sure people don't know a lot of stuff about the Metal Gear universe. And between the both of us, we played all of the modern Metal Gear games. I even dabbled a little bit myself in like the original NES Metal Gear, just because. Have you ever played that at all?
No, I've never touched the original ones. I've touched everything from PlayStation 1 on, basically the Metal Gear Solid, and then playing Metal Gear Solid 2. I dabbled a little bit of Snake Eater. I didn't finish all of it. And then obviously Metal Gear Solid 4. I still have yet to play 5. Well, not the Phantom Pain, but Ground Zero, which I believe you've played. So, I mean, right now we're going to talk about Metal Gear Solid 5. We see that it's getting really good reviews. And that's great considering it's the final game that Hideo Kojima is going to be on with Konami. aside from the controversy that's going over there. So it's good that he's going out with a bang, but it makes me a little apprehensive in terms of what's the future of this franchise without him helming this franchise.
So I mean, there's been a lot of that over the past years with the games that have come out for Metal Gear. Whether or not he's going to be, this is going to be his last Metal Gear game. Because to be honest, when Sons of Liberty came out, I think there was some ramblings about that being Hideo Kojima's last Metal Gear game.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became even more apparent that as time went on with Metal Gear 4. That was going to be his last game, but now it's like Metal Gear 5. Like, it's like a director who's like, oh yeah, I'm done making these movies, and it's a cash cow, so they just keep making it.
Oh yeah, of course they're gonna dump loads of money to you. They're gonna do that. Think about it. Like, the author J.K. Rowling is like, I'm not making more Harry Potter movies. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna make this spin-off here because you dumped loads of money on my lawn. That's just how it is. money talks.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how good of a game I was expecting that Ground Zeroes would be.
There's a lot of criticism against it, how short it is.
Yeah, I had read reviews before I played it, and I only just played it like last week about how short it was. But it delivers a little bit of story in order to continue on with Big Boss's story. And
yeah, definitely.
If you don't know anything about the Metal Gear series and Big Boss's character in particular, in the show notes, there's actually a link to a 5-minute video that IGN has about Big Boss and sort of the story of him through all the games that you could go back and play. But they're really long games.
It doesn't go through Solid Snake though. It just goes through Big Boss. So you got to make that clear. It doesn't go through Metal Gear Solid. It doesn't go through Metal Gear Solid 2.
They're messing with now Big Boss.
MGS4.
Right.
Just want to be clear.
I'm actually going to screen share a IGN review of Metal Gear Solid 5. And I will present this to everyone. Just kind of while we chit-chat about... oh, yeah, so I'm sorry. Just to clarify, this is Ground Zeroes. I just want to show this video while we kind of give a quick chit-chat about Big Boss and the Metal Gear series in general. But one thing that I really loved growing up and playing Metal Gear Solid on the original PlayStation was the fact that it was one of the first games that really took the stealth aspect of gaming and made it a really important part of the gameplay. Like, it wasn't just like a run and gun shooter, and it made it challenging. I typically enjoy challenging games, and it wasn't a typical Contra style. I have to leap over this and shoot bad guys.
I gotta kill this dinosaur over here.
It doesn't have a story. Like this thing was like super story driven. Super character driven, and had puzzle elements like hiding the stupid codec information on the back of the CD case, if anyone remembers that.
Yeah.
But just looking at the video from Ground Zeroes here, you can kind of see that it kind of follows a different path. It definitely adds to the action element because you could totally go in and run and gun. Which plays more towards like the modern gamer, the Call of Duty gamer.
Yeah, they're trying to because gamers have because they need to target multiple audiences, and sadly, this is what audience wants. They want that Call of Duty. They want that instant satisfaction where like, hey, let me shoot this guy's head. Why am I stealthing through this whole game? So,
and that's kind of. So this game got really good reviews, and I'll tell you right now that I do enjoy it. I do feel that the stealth aspect is still really important and makes the game more fun. But I do find that it is almost too easy to resort to the run and gun sort of gameplay that everyone is kind of expecting of a modern shooter. Especially since, like, in a lot of missions, I feel like it's built into the game that, you have to come out of stealth and actually run through the rest of this mission running and gunning, because they just make it so immensely hard that you can't continue to stealth.
Agree.
But it's it's interesting. If you get a chance, you should play it. But definitely on a list of games that I did enjoy this year, but I don't feel like it had enough depth in terms of the story to really warrant me spending a lot of time on it. Because the way they set it up is like there's a lot of different missions on one map or one level of the game, and you're really just doing different things around one little sandbox playground. And to me, driving around Liberty City in Grand Theft Auto is fun, but you can only do that for so many hours or so many half hours before you get bored and you just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, some people. Well, it depends on the player. Some people want that story element to it. I know people that just basically just could play Grand Theft Auto 5 or whatever and just run over people all the time and try to get 6 stars. That's just how some people are. I think me and you are the same. We want to have a story element to these games, because if not, then what's the point of me stealthing into this area? What's the point of me, driving on this highway trying to chase after this idiot or something? So it depends on the gamer. So obviously I understand that's why they have that element of like where you can go run and gun. I mean, the other games you could somewhat run and gun ish, very poorly in third person if you wanted to. But definitely I can't wait to be able to play Phantom Pain. I believe it comes out September 1st. This review came out, I think the embargo lifted the other day, and then the review started coming out, and it's getting good word of mouth. So it's definitely a game to check out.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. I don't know if I'm excited or not for the 30 hours of CGI video that I have to watch and
it's
not
a movie
interact with. Yeah, I mean, Metal Gear Solid 4 was like just playing a movie basically, and there was no interaction at all, like none. I mean,
it was a good game.
You had the gameplay in between, but you basically watched 45 minutes of video and played 10 minutes of a little bit of stealth action, which wasn't really, because you could totally shoot your way through the game, which is the way I did it because it was quicker. I didn't want to take my time in stealth because I knew that if I spent a half hour stealthing through this one area of the game, that I wouldn't have enough time to actually sit down and watch the next hour of video content that they were going to present to me. But
yeah.
I mean, I definitely...
You can blame that to Shenmue. Shenmue did that a lot. We're like, hey, there's a cutscene. Hey, you have to press X or something.
Yeah, they had like quick time events. Yeah.
It's like, come on. Can I just like chill? Can I just go take a dump and something? Oh, no, not take a dump. Take a leak and come back? Well, that's the pause button, but still.
I mean, you could totally just play from your toilet now, because you have wireless controllers. I mean, back in the day on like Shenmue on Dreamcast, like they didn't have wireless controllers.
I know. We do a lot of things in the bathroom we shouldn't be doing. Let's not add this to it. All right, I think we should move on to the next topic, Steve.
Okay.
That note.
Yeah, I mean, so something else that we wanted to bring up is that we cover a lot of ground in terms of hobbies other than just video games. More recently, me and Alan went shooting for the first time last year in September, and I got super into the hobby. And,
you think?
and probably spent way too much money, buying guns, shooting, and getting training. Because I think training's important, learning the laws, spending the time to actually figure things out.
Training.
Being a responsible owner is really important. Let me emphasize.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You don't own any guns.
I know.
But let's just make that
the reason why I'm not allowed to own guns. I love you, honey, if you're on here.
So, I think it's important to like keep up on reading with it, and it's just something that I read all the time, and it's something that everyone has an opinion about. I definitely see that, especially on the news, that people get really heated about gun control and things like that. But no, one thing that I wanted to bring up was an NRA article, and the title of the article is "A Decade Later, Remember New Orleans: Gun Confiscation Can and Has Happened in America." So this is really a worry that a lot of like underground gun owners are worried about. Like, the federal government's going to come in and take my guns, and I'm never going to be able to have them, or I need to hide a gun in my backyard and in a trunk that's deep underground. And I don't believe in that. I don't entirely see the government coming in and confiscating things.
It's in the Constitution. Right to bear arms.
But apparently, based on this article, and this is an NRA ILA article, their legislative branch, and generally they're very skewed because it is a gun organization. But I mean, I would take that perhaps that there's some fact from this, and essentially the article goes in and says that after Katrina, while there was a lot of looting and a lot of areas of New Orleans was shut down. That they were trying to evacuate people forcibly. It was a mandatory evacuation, and they were worried about gun owners, legal gun owners, people who legally own their guns. Not I mean, they wouldn't know who illegally owns guns, but they were worried about those people holing up in their houses and trying to survive there, and worried that they wouldn't be able to survive there, I'd imagine. So they wanted to go in and confiscate their weapons before trying to relocate these people, and they did so. Apparently, according to the NRA, without receipts or anything like that, they literally just came in, took the guns, and said, "Sorry, you got to go." And they sent federal agents, like FEMA agents, with heavily armed, with their handguns and rifles, to go and take the guns from these people and then move them. And that seems extraordinary because I mean it was an extraordinary circumstance. You had a monster hurricane that came by and just basically destroyed a city, and they were worried about people getting a little trigger happy defending their homes as the cops came and told them that they had to go, which I understand for the safety of the police, but ultimately in terms of like a personal freedoms thing, from my point of view, I think if those people want to hole up in their house with their guns and they think that they're ready to try and survive in their home for however long it takes until things get back to normal in New Orleans, then I'm inclined to say leave them, because if they think that they can survive there long enough and they can't, that's their problem, like an individual problem. Unless the government, was planning on bulldozing an entire block of the city, and they didn't want to kill these people because they were in the home at the time. Okay, I could see making them forcibly move them and maybe confiscate their weapons, maybe with a little more tracking and information about getting them their firearms back. But it seems to me that it's kind of odd that they would even go to that length if it was just, hey, these people are survivalists and, maybe they can survive here. But it's interesting to note that that's possible, and that directly afterwards, the NRA made sure that local governments weren't doing that any further, and that they actually tried to give the guns back after Katrina kind of settled. And you can find that in the article, but it seems interesting to me simply because, is that something really legally the government can and should do? I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of things that the government's been doing that they shouldn't do. I mean, a lot of it, honestly, is, I mean, since 9/11, stuff like, like this internet security, people looking into like our emails, our text messages, even listen into our phone calls for more of like a safety, invading our privacy, essentially. I mean, the government has already proven that they do that already. So obviously with an event such as Katrina, where, there's the thing is that everyone's afraid of order, afraid of, losing order. Because obviously, people have guns. They're, more in, they are afraid that they'll take advantage of, of people that don't have guns. Like, hey, give me your money. I mean, give me all your food. Give me all your water. You have to understand that, that's what they're worried about. It's just like we were talking about hackers earlier about, the people that hack, not everyone hacks, but then when people do, you might have to treat them a different way to make sure, they don't do that. I mean, I'm not saying the government's right for doing that. It's in the Constitution. You are allowed to bear arms. However, I mean, when there's something such as this, it was rated, I believe it was like state of emergency in the area. So, I mean, I don't know if that, I guess that gives the government a reason why they can go in and do stuff like that. I mean, it's debatable, but I mean, obviously they're trying to just protect everyone. I mean, you're going to piss some people off, obviously. If, I'm not a gun owner. I know you're a gun owner. And if someone came in and took your gun, I mean, you'd be pissed off too, because like, hey, I have my right, I have my permits, I have this. Why are you taking away my gun? Are you doing this because you think I'm going to shoot somebody? But the thing is that, like, just what happened today with this idiot who just shot these two the reporter and the what you call it, the video camera guy. This stuff about gun control is always gonna be there. So obviously, during something so like, such an event as Katrina, I can see why they do that. I mean, I don't support it, but then I can understand why they need to feel like they need to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see, hey, there's definitely warrant for potentially doing that in something like a state of emergency. But it's the kind of things that like get shoved under the rug during the time that the event is happening. And you go back and you look at it afterwards, you're like, maybe that wasn't, the best move. And it happens a lot with, not just with, gun ownership and, and that type of stuff, but like a lot of other things too, especially during an emergency. But I mean, as far as gun ownership is concerned and people confiscating my guns like during a state of emergency, I mean, I would be worried more about people running around in the streets with their guns than so much the people who have their like licensed.
This isn't the Middle East. This is America. We're not yelling Allah Akbar out here. Sorry.
But I mean, like, you had looters and stuff like running through the streets, and okay, I could see confiscating, people's guns who are, leaving the city and they're carrying and they're packing. They're like, oh, like I have to leave. I have to leave my home. Let me take all 26 of my rifles and pistols and shotguns and sling them over my shoulder as I leave my home because I'm worried about people stealing. I could definitely see that. But my suggestion, though. I mean, my suggestion would have been, like, at the time, have your FEMA agents or your police agents who are going to these homes to try and move these people, just ask them, and even ask them to just take a look and say, hey, are your weapons secure? And if that's the case, hey, you got to go. Just leave them. It's not worth taking. Now, if they weren't, then maybe they should hold on to them. Like, oh, how come you don't have a safe for your firearms? All right, we'll hold on to them for you until everything gets straightened out. I could see that.
Once state of emergency, they don't have the resources and the time to waste on that.
But I mean, they already had the resources out there to send these people to these homes in order to get these people moved out. I mean, it's not like these police officers or these FEMA agents weren't already on site in order to get them people moved out. I mean, they're already there. And,
they were, but
there's their job, like, first is public safety, people safety. And one of those jobs is making sure that firearms just aren't left out and unaccounted for anyone to just come and grab. And that's regardless of, the time duties. I mean, because there's potential for disaster that way too, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean,
this is the South we're talking about. This is the
South. I mean, in the South,
everyone's
carrying gun, open carry, and it doesn't matter anyway.
Exactly. I mean, you gotta be worried. I mean, you got to be worried what the geography where it is. I mean, over here, if they did that over here, we would, like, you have guns, you would have it in a safe or something like that. But down there, you might have a gun just lying anywhere. You might you might answer the door with your gun, and be like,
well, I don't think that's a geographical, necessarily a geographical thing, so much as like, hey, you should be a responsible owner and do that type of thing.
But are people responsible? People are stupid. Let's be honest.
Yeah, people are pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We just wanted to kind of touch on that, just because I found that article kind of interesting, and that article was found because I was browsing around on Facebook, actually.
What a great clickbait.
Yeah, clickbait, whatever.
Speaking of clickbait, you want to introduce this next one?
Yeah, so, speaking of clickbait, there was a article on IGN, which probably popped up other places as well, that basically J.J. Abrams made a comment that the new First Order in the new Star Wars Awakens, the Force Awakens movie, are sort of based on Nazis, which is kind of funny.
They did.
It's kind of funny because... George Lucas included Nazis in the Indiana Jones universe, and the uniforms from the original Star Wars series kind of resemble Nazi uniforms too.
Yeah.
German army uniforms, perhaps, but not necessarily Nazi uniforms. But I just found it kind of interesting. This article again is something that's posted in the show notes for you to take a look at. It's really short. It really kind of shows or shines a light on the spectacle that is Star Wars, the Force Awakens. That's popping up, later this year. And Alan, you probably have a lot more to say about this than I do because I mean you're a much bigger Star Wars fan than me, and I'm a bigger Star Trek fan. Although I mean I do try and keep up with some of the Star Wars stuff. To be honest, I don't see why bringing up the fact that they're based on Nazis is really important. It's probably just like an off the cuff kind of comment that you and I would make about something, like just some sort of weird analogy, and people are just taking it like way too far.
Oh, definitely. It's just a comment that J.J. Abrams made about, essentially, I mean, about like, the First Order being Nazis. I think that wasn't the big news. Actually, the other part of the comment was more bigger, is that Kylo Ren is not a Sith. I mean, this is going to nerdy territory, but, like you figured you see, a guy, wielding a red lightsaber, you figure he's a Sith. That's always what we've learned about. Anyone that wields any other color, like blue, purple, because of Mace Windu, because Samuel Jackson's like, I want a fucking purple lightsaber. But essentially, it seems like they're trying to do something different with this new iteration of Star Wars, where they're not gonna, maybe they're trying to stray away from what the Sith was built on after Darth Plagueis, which I don't know if anyone knows about this, where the rule of two, where there was always a master and apprentice, essentially. So it's interesting that, usually when there's a Sith, his name is called Darth Vader or Darth Plagueis. So it's interesting that they're trying to, they might be doing something different with the Star Wars universe now. And look, the Stormtroopers are happy now. Have you seen the new Stormtroopers from the First Order? They're smiling. Look at that.
Yeah. This is just a poll from ABC News about the article that I mentioned. And
they're happy now.
Yeah, me and Alan were talking about this earlier. Yeah, they look like Donald Ducks, and I remember seeing someone actually like Photoshop the videos.
He looks like Howard the Duck, actually, for another nerd talk. But
yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the old. If you look at some of the old photos, even of stormtroopers, you do see that they're kind of like unhappy.
Oh yeah, maybe these guys will hit their targets. Actually, they'll hit what they're trying to shoot.
Here, I'll pull it up right now.
Which one?
Yeah, look at that that's such an unhappy face right there.
He looks angry. That's pissed off. He's like, God, I have to.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little silly.
Yeah. I have to be stationed on this moon. Wait, it's not a moon.
That's no moon.
That's not. We gotta.
Yeah, I think the new helmets look a little weird at the top, though. Yeah, they're very round at the top. It was a little bit different in the older style of the helmet. There's a little more shape towards the top end of it. Plus, like in the original style, it seems like there's more of like a gas mask kind of thing going on, and they kind of got rid of that too. They're almost like making the new Stormtrooper uniform and helmet more modernized for like the modern sci-fi era. Just kind of people understand science a little bit more. Yeah. Like, you really gonna have vents that big on a helmet? You probably wouldn't. You're probably gonna have your own air supply or something like that. Not that they run around with like a oxygen tank. Although that'd be pretty funny if you saw a stormtrooper running around with an oxygen tank on his back.
They can. But yeah, it's. I mean, it's been 30 years. So The Force Awakens is 30 years after the Return of the Jedi. So you figure after 30 years, they would have some improvements, or they trained at least better better soldiers by now. But we don't know what's going to happen in this new universe because we're all going to find that out in September when there's something called the Journey of the Force Awakens, when they're going to start releasing more content to basically kind of flesh out the universe after the fall of of the Empire, essentially, or not even the fall. We're not even sure if the Empire actually fell after Darth Vader, after Return of the Jedi, actually. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. But I'm really excited.
I have a question for you, and this is slightly off topic, but like, so I know that at D23 they announced a whole bunch of Star Wars stuff, but like, I never heard anything ever about D23 before this year and before this whole Star Wars thing. Is this something that Disney had, before this year that became like famous because Star Wars is coming out?
Oh no, definitely not. D23 has always been what Disney used to like kind of like showcase their stuff. But the thing is that like with everything else, everyone went to San Diego Comic-Con. So like Marvel, everything that was considered geek culture. So you saw this year if you heard anything about Comic-Con, you heard about Marvel pulling out of basically Disney pulling out of starting to try to pull out of Comic-Con because D23 is basically they're going to try to make D23 their de facto Comic-Con essentially because essentially they're going to have everything in-house. So instead of having to pay for space and flying everyone out to like San Diego, they're going to have it on their Disney lot, and then they could have their own kind of like celebration essentially.
So where was this thing hosted?
Oh, this was actually in Anaheim, I believe. I believe it's near Disney headquarters.
Of course.
So it's near Anaheim.
California.
Yeah. So obviously,
There's nothing cool on the East Coast.
Oh yeah, of course not. Well, duh. The only thing that's decently cool was like New York Comic Con. We'll talk about that. But like
which we should go to, by the way.
I know. We'll talk later. But like that's what they're trying to do. Basically, they're trying to pull out of Comic-Con because it's cheaper for them to do it in-house. Why would you pay someone to feature your stuff and help them sell tickets when you're trying to sell tickets for yourself?
Well, I mean, I've noticed that like a lot of other like just looking at like game development houses, for example, have been like hosting their own cons, and this stems all the way back to like World of Warcraft and them hosting BlizzCon. I think the first time they did it was in 2008, 2009. I think.
Yeah.
But like you have Firaxicon, that's being thrown around now, and they're going to be showcasing the new XCOM 2, and I always thought that Firaxis was always the Civilization type of company. Like they really didn't have a whole lot of stuff going on. Most of these development houses have like one game, maybe two that are like really big. Like you're really going to have an entire convention around like these two things. Like I understand something like Comic-Con. Like it's kind of blown up. It was originally about comics and like other more genre specific stuff that's really tied in. And now it's just kind of blown up into everything pop culture. And that's why like more cons are popping up because they're trying to go back to the roots kind of thing. But like I don't know. There are a lot of other like companies that are doing these cons that just I don't think it makes sense. Disney's fine because they have a lot of intellectual properties, and they have honestly they have the fan base to do it. Just they have
the two biggest things: Marvel and fucking Star Wars. It's kind of hard, and plus they have stuff like Pixar. I mean, everyone loves Pixar.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that if Disney hosted like a Princess Con for all the Disney princesses, that people would show up. I'm sure they would.
I'm pretty sure they did. They probably had it on like the Thursday, and yeah. But yeah, that's the question where like basically everyone. That's when people are getting pissed off that like, hey, like you're basically forcing me to pay extra money to go to a different con to see your stuff essentially. Like that's why people want to go to San Diego Comic-Con because they figure they can get everything all at once under one roof. But now like like with Marvel and Disney essentially pulling out to do D23, that makes like now I've got to either choose between D23 or Comic-Con, and that's that's obviously because not everyone has a lot of money to go to these things or have the time to go to these things. Like if me and you go fly over to San Diego, or fly over to California, we have to pick either going to D23 or Comic-Con essentially, and we're gonna pick Comic-Con because there's more content there.
Yeah, there's also a million people like just in one little tiny like square mile area.
Exactly. Well, yeah. We'll only talk about how packed San Diego is whenever that comes in. They need to move that. They need to move that. But yeah, let's go on to the next topic.
So we have a little note on an article here about
this is
Patrick
your stuff.
Stewart. About Patrick Stewart and about him probably not going to be Captain Picard again anytime soon. He probably made it in jest. He's probably making fun of his role because he always looks back like in a lot of interviews and kind of makes fun of the fact that he was in Star Trek, especially since he's like a huge like theater geek. He's like totally like into like classical theater, but I just kind of find it funny though because he's in like really big pop culture things outside of him being Captain Picard, like his role in
Ian McKellen as well.
Yeah, him and Ian McKellen. Yeah. The biggest thing is his new show on Stars, which I don't happen to remember the name of.
I think Blunt Talk or something like that.
At first, when I first saw the previews for it, I thought it was like a movie or something. Like I thought it was just gonna be like a one shot because it totally made sense to me that he would do something like that. Like he just wants to come out of his shell and his genre because like he's really funny in American Dad when his character shows up. But like he doesn't do that ever a lot, like live, like in front of a camera. So I thought like, it'd be kind of cool if it was a movie. And then I realized, wait, this is the TV show. This is phenomenal.
He's Patrick Stewart. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
He's also like ancient, and I will rue the day that he passes on, like Spock.
Yeah, live long and prosper. But yeah, I mean. Patrick Stewart saying that he's not going to be in Star Trek. We'll see, because before Star Trek 1 filmed with J.J. Abrams, Nimoy said he wasn't going to be in it, and he was in 1 and 2. So you got to take it because money. Let's be honest, money talks. That's gonna be the central theme of everything in here is that money talks. That's actually a porno too, but we won't get into that.
Well, we might. But, we might.
No. This is a family-friendly show, and my girlfriend won't like that if we talk about porno.
Just a bunch of our friends watching this.
It is a hobby, though, but it's not a hobby I like to show off. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Patrick Stewart didn't think he was going to go back to being, Professor Xavier, but he went back for Days of Future Past, and he's going to be in X3, the last time that Hugh Jackman is going to be Wolverine, and he's going to be a prominent role in that. So you never say never. He's 75 years old, but he's still, if he can still act, he should keep going. He's not going to be like Sean Connery, who retired after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, that was a terrible movie. I think
it was a terrible movie
on USA or something, like the last half of it.
Oh God. Oh God, there's a lot of bad movies. Yeah, that effectively
probably
retired his
no, that's probably a bad statement. Phrasing.
Yeah,
I'm almost certain that there is a booth somewhere at a Comic-Con dedicated to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. The movie.
They're actually doing
the movie, not the comic book.
They're actually doing a reboot apparently, but they're going to feature female characters. There's a rumor out there about that. We'll see how that goes.
So something I always bring up whenever Patrick Stewart comes to mind is he was in a movie that I saw as a kid growing up, and mainly I watched it because he was in it, and I was a big Star Trek Next Generation fan. It was on at the time, or it wasn't on, but reruns were on. It was a movie called Safe House. And you should definitely take a look at it. There's some clips on YouTube about it. there's definitely a scene where he's got like a handgun in his backyard and he's just shooting at the ground, and like a nurse who's like looking after him is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Pest control" or something like that.
Hell?
Yeah, he's like he plays like a senile like ex-CIA agent or something like that, but no one believes him, and that he's got like state secrets locked up on his computer. If he doesn't type in a password every day, it's gonna get leaked or something. It's
Dude,
definitely worth a watch because it's definitely a dramatic movie for him, which is odd because you didn't see a lot of that in his career through all the years.
the only safe house movie I know is the one with I think Denzel Washington and like Ryan Reynolds that came out like a few years ago. That's the only safe house I know.
I don't even know that movie, to be honest. We've had this discussion before, but I don't know if it was recorded or not. I'm not a huge fan of Denzel Washington, so I haven't seen a lot of his movies.
Oh, didn't you like? Was it John Q? I don't want to go into the whole thing. We can go through the whole thing with Denzel and John Q, but maybe we shouldn't go into that.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Denzel Washington. I do enjoy some of the movies. Training Day was good, but I say this a lot when I talk about Denzel Washington. I feel like a lot of the roles are written for him, and like he plays a lot of the same characters. Just like I think,
Angry Black Man. Well, that's Samuel Jackson. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I mean Samuel Jackson does the same thing in a lot of his movies too. He plays kind of the same role. But I mean,
he has that gravitas. That's the thing. He's Denzel. He has that gravitas where
Denzel always has like the real tough character with a huge character.
A strong character. Yeah, a strong character.
A huge character.
Oh, definitely.
But
he also, yeah.
He's like, I feel like his dramatic roles are never just him purely being a dramatic character who has no strong elements.
No, you're right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. So last thing that we kind of wanted to touch on was Fear the Walking Dead, which came out on Sunday on AMC. Huge following for The Walking Dead, and Alan's not a fan. I don't know how.
Oh, just like I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones. Ooh.
Yeah. I think everyone's gonna stop watching the show after you said.
I don't care. I'll be honest. I Game of Thrones is all right. I'm sorry. I know people hate me for this, but I gotta tell it how I feel. I'm not gonna lie to you and be like, "Hey, I like Game of Thrones." I'm like, watch the first couple after the first season. I have everything. I have HBO Go. I can watch all of it right now if I want to. Just choose not to. I'd rather watch True Detective actually, which is a very good show.
So I never watched any of True Detective, and I probably should. I heard good things. Just like I heard really good things about The Wire too, which I mean is a series that ended a while ago. But
we have I have a huge list of things, but stay on target.
I mean, there's a big backlog. But all right. Anyways, going back to the original thing. I mean, Fear the Walking Dead. I just watched it yesterday, and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, there's no tie-ins to the original Walking Dead series, which is fine because I kind of want to see new characters. And it also takes place temporarily, like in a different time period during this entire universe. It's like definitely the very beginning steps of the outbreak. Because from the original Walking Dead, they actually start like a few weeks after, because like Rick wakes up from a coma or something like that after getting shot, and I feel like you miss a lot of the key stuff, especially for the way that this universe is built, about like what happens during an outbreak. But this series is covering that, and I really like that.
Yeah. Well, speaking as someone who's not a fan of Walking Dead, and the only thing I know about Walking Dead is the game that this idiot showed me, where basically I played through season 1 and 2 with Clementine. And that's my only introduction about Walking Dead until I watched this today. And I thought it was okay. It had a very slow burn from what I can see. They try to build tension. They did tension pretty well. A lot of little parts where they try to, obviously I know what The Walking Dead is about. It's about zombies and yada yada. They did a pretty good job in terms of building some tension I'll say. I mean, but a lot of fake scares. Like we're not gonna go to the spoilers, but they had a lot of fake scares. I mean, there are some things that didn't make sense to me where, there are certain things where like, hey, why would that character do that in real life? I mean, granted, it's a show, but it felt like it was more for like a plot device as opposed to like a legitimate reason why they did that. It's like, like, okay, we're not going to do this because later on in the plot this is going to happen. So I felt that it was a nice little slow burn. I'm not going to say that I would definitely go watch it, definitely watch the next episode, to be honest, because it didn't really grab me. I understand that what they're trying to do is to set up these characters in this universe that's already been established, essentially, but set it at a different time, in a time and place, in an urban setting and everything.
Well, so the one thing that like caught me off guard that I had read somewhere was that the Walking Dead universe takes place in a timeline where George Romero's Night of the Living Dead never came out, and like the word zombie doesn't exist in their universe, and that's kind of like why there's this sort of slow reaction to the idea that these people are, getting back up after getting shot 30 times and like fighting somebody, or that the dead are coming back to life. Like that. That's like why these ideas are so like weird, even though the setting for this seems to be like modern day, like today. I find it really interesting to have something like that and be able to show like what the situation would amount to just a few days into this pandemic, as opposed to, oh, we're in a prison and the worst thing that can happen to us is that somebody shows up at the gate that's living. I'm
sure.
I definitely see I definitely see the value in showing the sort of post-apocalyptic world, and that's what the original Walking Dead like has become, and what it is post-apocalyptic zombie world. And like Fear the Walking Dead seems like it's not post-apocalyptic; it is apocalyptic, like time frame, like during the apocalypse. And I think that's the much scarier kind of portion of a timeline. If you had to think about living in some sort of apocalypse, post-apocalypse, like I don't know that surviving afterwards is the thing that you really need to be afraid of. I think it's surviving the initial onslaught. That's the real problem.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I lost my train of thought, actually. I'm sorry. But yeah, I like the show was all right. They did some stereotypes that I wasn't fond of. I mean, one little spoiler: the black guy always dies. Two black guys dies in this.
I kind of got the hint that that's
beyond. And from what I heard, they do this all the time in the original Walking Dead, so it doesn't seem that.
Well, I mean, they kill main characters all the time. In the original Walking Dead, and in this one, I mean, you don't have main characters because you don't even know the characters that you have.
You're not attached to them. You don't care if they die yet.
But I mean, just like any good show, that in the first couple episodes, they develop the characters really well. This way, you do get invested, and I do see the development of the characters that we currently have. They actually did a really good job of that in the first hour and a half that they showed the premiere episode, but. I think what I like the most about the characters is that they're not like the atypical I'm watching an apocalypse, post-apocalypse TV series or movie where the guy that you're watching is an ex-firefighter, he was a Marine, or he's a sheriff. I think the cool thing about this is that these are just normal people that have normal lives. In fact, it's even less normal.
They're teachers. They're teachers, basically, from what I remember.
Like, the son is a drug addict. Like, I mean, that I don't know if that's normal so much as it's a disadvantage. And I like seeing underdog stories in general, but this is going to be even better. Like in the apocalypse, like does the drug addict become the survivor because he's just fucking out of it? Like, I don't know.
Well, you got to remember this, Steve. I mean, I know this is what I was trying to say. Remember AMC, the what their TV shows, they had Breaking Bad, they had Mad Men. So when these TV shows went off the air, all what they had left was Walking Dead. So then they had to think of ways to find better shows. So that's why they had Better Call Saul, and now they're trying to build off the brand of The Walking Dead. To be honest, it feels kind of a cash grab to me, to be honest, because if I'm not interested in The Walking Dead, I'm not gonna be interested in this as well. I mean, that's just how it is, unfortunately. It's just like if you're a fan of a particular show and if they do a spinoff, you're not, and if you're a fan with it, you're more likely to watch it as opposed to someone who doesn't watch it. You're not going to be likely to watch it.
I mean, this
So
is
I mean,
this is something that we kind of talked about previously too, in unrecorded, where you have all these big brands that exist, and like you just keep having the same brands like pump out new content, and then the independent content or like the new IP just doesn't take off because it's just overshadowed by these big juggernauts like The Walking Dead. I don't know. I do see I do see a disadvantage to having something like Fear the Walking Dead come up, but I am a fanboy, but I do enjoy the show, and I'll probably watch the next episode. Unlike you,
yeah. Sorry.
But you have a hard time watching any TV series, don't you?
I have a huge backlog. I still have Breaking Bad. I still have Arrow. I still have Flash. I still have a ton of shows I need to watch.
I mean, what are you watching right now? Are you watching anything?
No, not right now. I'm busy doing other stuff right now. But I want to get into Flash and Arrow first because apparently Flash is one of the best superhero TV shows that are out there. But we'll talk about that another day.
All right. I think we've been on for about an hour. I think we can call it quits here. Just want to remind everyone to tune in next week. We're going to try to do this again on Wednesday, same time, 8 p.m. And we'll be doing this live. This recording will go up onto YouTube after this, probably in a few minutes, simply because it takes time to encode through Google servers. It's not something that I can control on my end. You'll find that on the Jersey Hobby Hour page. And we might change that name, just so you know. But yeah, check us out. If you want to join the conversation, send me a text, shoot me an email, let me know.
Just leave it in the comment section of the video.
Or you can
definitely
do that too.
Subscribe to our channel.
We're definitely doing this so we can get friends involved, so they can join us for the chit chat. We're not looking to be mega stars or anything. We just want to have our friends, watch and become part of the conversation and catch up with people.
Yeah, and definitely critique us. This is our first show. Obviously, I have no idea what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah, beat the hell out of Alan. Just like
me and Steve are both fucking scientists.
Comments about Alan.
We don't know any. I don't talk. I talk to like a beaker essentially all day. there's nothing. So definitely feel free to like be as critical as you can be, because that'll help us get better at this. So that is definitely, yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Tune in next week.
All right. See you guys.